Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Engineering Sustainability. Today I would like to talk about clarity. So what is clarity? Clarity is when we're able to see things well. So when it comes to our mind, clarity is the phenomenon of having clearly defined thoughts. A map in a video game is a good metaphor because initially the map is dark and we can't really see where we are going. But as you discover more and you explore, the map becomes clearer and more well defined. You can start seeing what is. Once you start exploring, the fog of war lifts and you can see the exact outline of the territory you're in. So the mind works in a similar way. In terms of your growth, clarity is a two-step process. The first is knowing what you want, and the second is knowing the plan needed to get what you want. And you get clarity through exploration. So here are three concepts I find to be useful with regards to clarity. The first one is writing. Writing is a great way to lay out your thoughts in a way that makes sense. Writing allows you to go from an ephemeral concept to something concrete. You collapse your capricious self into an articulated phrase of what you really think. Now that it's on paper, it's physical. Before it was just in your mind, and you could easily fool yourself into thinking that what you had been thinking was exactly the opposite. This way you rob yourself of any foundation you might have for explorations of your thoughts, which leads to a complete loss of clarity. So by writing things down, things become concrete and you can't change them in your mind anymore. They stop being fickle. Over time, writing starts placing solid building blocks one on top of the other, and ideally you start building a beautifully coherent structure of a thought preoccupying your mind. This is not possible if you're not putting things from the mind into the physical. The solidity that the thoughts reach is meant to provide structure, not rigidity. It's okay to backtrack to previous building blocks and modify them. The ossification of ideas into building blocks is not so you can't change them, but rather for them to remain stable long enough to build on top of them. Meditation is another practice I've found to be extremely helpful for clarity. When you sit down with yourself, thoughts start coming up in your mind. And initially it's a bit chaotic. But if you stick through it, through the storm, if you notice a thought, you acknowledge it and maybe even label it into meta categories that you start to notice, certain thoughts start to fade and others remain. So the less relevant thoughts your minds will not bring up any longer, but the relevant one will stick. And that's when you realize that's the ones you have to pay attention to. So you start having clarity about what your mind really cares about and you lose the noise. With each iteration, more and more irrelevant thoughts fall off and the important ones remain. So things start becoming clearer. Finally, a good framework for creativity is clear, create, consume. Take time to clear your mind, time to create with your mind, and time to consume to get new ideas. And your clarity levels throughout the day vary with regards to clearing, creating, and consuming. During clearing, which is kind of meditation basically, your clarity levels increase until at the end of your clearing period, the clarity is the highest. Then you move into creation. And during creation, you have a plan because you have clarity, so you work towards that plan. But you also engage with the chaos that comes from creation. So your clarity drops a bit. You should always engage with the chaos, but still maintain the momentum of your plan you started off with. So clarity fades a little bit, but it still exists. And finally, during consuming, you're just embracing full-out chaos. You're engaging with other people, you're engaging with information, with ideas. You want to spark new ideas, you want to draw new connections. So during that time, your clarity might be at the lowest because you're also taking in new information. And with that new information, you can sit down again and clear your mind during the next clear period as you start the cycle again. And that new information you can now integrate into your new map of the world and seek to find clarity in this updated map. So your clarity rises again until once again you move into creation, then consumption, and that way over the day / over your creation cycles, you increase clarity and decrease in clarity. I hope you enjoyed this. These are some frameworks and concepts I find interesting with regards to clarity, and they are the necessary first steps to engineering sustainable liberty.